Bucks. In the offseason, we talk about the bad teams. We talk about the hope. You have free agency. You have the draft. We have all this cap space. The NFL is the king because they sell hope in the offseason. All these bad teams. Every year I got to hear the Jets. This is the Jets' year. The Cowboys, the winners of every offseason. I hope other sports are watching this because it is a pure example of in the offseason, talk about your bad teams because you never talk about them in season. And I'm not that they're a bad team because the Titans have done a lot of good things in the last few years, but they picked up Julio Jones. What do you think of the move?
I don't know the last. It's a great move. And for what they gave up, a second round pick, the Titans haven't been great at drafting, so I'm not mad. I'm not mad at all because you look at Corey Davis, a guy who I didn't like from day one. I took him 4th overall, I believe. And you want to talk about selling hope. They tried to sell that to everybody, right? That like Corey Davis is coming in, he's going to be our guy. And I just saw from the get-go, like this guy doesn't want to be here is kind of the vibe I got from him. And surprise, surprise, a contract year, all of a sudden it's like 1,000+ yards because he wants to get paid. Yeah. Sell hope to the Jets because I don't want you anymore. So bring in Julio Jones. Bring me in a guy who's, I don't know, probably my age, 32, 33, something like that, 34. And at this point, yeah, he's had some injuries. That's why you're getting him a little bit cheaper than you would a few years ago. But he's still one of the best all time, you have to say. Probably top 10. I'm ballparking maybe. And he's still competitive. He's not AJ Green, where he's not, really able to play. I like that now across from AJ Brown, you have a guy that can actually do something and a threat because that's going to create space for everybody. And with Henry now running, because I think that's really was the success of their offense. I'm not the biggest Tannehill guy. I don't think he's that good at all. When you have a running back that's that good, setting up the run just opens up everything. I think the Titans offense now, like they've never had the greatest creativity with the coordinators. I know Arthur Smith just left, but like I said, I don't really love their offense or their defense. Just usually running backs is what I like with them. But I think like the division is not great. Hasn't been great for a while. Colts still look like a bit of a mess, although they have the best defense in the division. Houston's a train wreck. The Jags, future's bright, but not yet. So it's really just going to be them, I think. And the Colts, I guess, kind of battling it out. But you're going to see in the playoffs, like if this team is going to put together some kind of defense, which once again I don't have too much hope, then I'd be like, okay, this team's a real Super Bowl threat. Right now, I don't know how serious I take them, but they're better than they were at any point in the last, I don't know, maybe since they went to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, so I'll give you a positive and a negative. Positive, you got Julio Jones, and he is a game breaker, and you didn't give up too much. If they'd given up a first-round pick or multiple picks, I would sit here and bash on the deal. Because Julio Jones only played 9 games, and that's my negative, is that, we don't know how much more he's got left. Now, could have 5 years, could have 6 years. You gave up a second-round pick, which, at the end of the day, is not that bad. I mean, you can deal with that. You can, let's say he's a shell of himself, for whatever reason. It's only a second-round pick. I mean, second-round picks are what?
Like I said, if you're a team that drafts well, then it's a different issue. Yeah. But Titans, Patriots, they're just some teams that don't draft well, so I don't really care. I'm not mad at it.
Yeah, and that's fair. I look at the Titans, and I'm like, this is a team a few years ago that was really good. I think they almost got the Super Bowl a couple years ago. No, I think they
beat the Chiefs. They beat the Patriots. There was that one year. I think they went to the AFC final. They lost.
Yeah, where Ryan Tannehill went crazy. I'm also not a Tannehill guy. You brought up a great point. The coordinator, that we know offensive coordinators are almost as important to offenses as the coach. Like you'll see a team like, you talk about Atlanta. As soon as Kyle Shanahan left, Matty Ryan wasn't the same guy. We don't know what we're going to get out of Ryan Tannehill anymore. Now, you went out, you played a lottery ticket on Julio Jones. I think it was a pretty good move. I'm not going crazy. I'm not freaking out. I'm sitting here and saying I still think the Colts are the best team in this division. I think defensively they're great. Their line is great. And I think if they give Carson Wentz any help, I think he has the potential to have a good season. I think the Titans are the second best team. I think by a long way. It's a long way. I'm just buying Carson Wentz for this season.
They're better with Jacoby Brissett at quarterback. That might be a hot take, but it's not close. Like Carson Wentz, I was a very big Carson Wentz fan. And I know that he tore his knee. That's the only thing I can point to. Maybe it's a mental thing. He throws the ball so effortlessly. He's incredible. He's fucking huge. He's not the same guy. Like I said earlier, when we talked NBA, our are you going to be surprised Ben Simmons can't hit a jump shot? If during the season, if Carson Wentz is the guy we've seen in Philly for the last 2 years, and the Colts, their defense is incredible, so they're probably going to win 9 games anyway, 10 in that division. I have zero faith in Carson Wentz because I think he's probably the 32nd best starting quarterback in the league.
I would agree with you. Here's my thing though, and people are not talking about this. When he was in Philly that first year, he looked great because he was throwing to wide open receivers. He had all the time in the world. That Philly team is going to be one of the teams, I think it was 2017 when they won the Super Bowl, is going to be one of the teams that never gets talked about, but was a fantastic team. And when you give Carson Wentz a fantastic team, I think he'll have success. That's why when that team went downhill, when the O-line wasn't as good, when the D-line was struggling, he didn't look that good. And he looked pretty mentally weak.
But here's the thing. It's one thing to not have weapons. It's one thing to not have a line. All you need to do is watch him throw a football. And it doesn't look nice. He was like not even coming close to hitting guys.
Yeah, that's
I'm worried. It's one thing if okay, like the rush is coming, you throw the ball, and it's like there was nothing that I liked when I watched him throw the ball this year. It was really rough.
I'm more here. This is where I am mentally between the ears because I saw how mentally weak when he lost the job, he was like almost crying. And instead of being like, I'm going to win this job back, he was upset that they gave the job to, now I'm blanking on the name. I blank on names all the time. The kid
from and then we transferred. I don't remember his name.
From Oklahoma. Yeah. The Oklahoma quarterback. So I just saw mental weakness. I just think this year with Frank Reich, I think he has a chance to win 11 games, 12 games. I think they're still the best team in this division. Now, if he struggles, then the Titans can step in. I don't think there's any question that these are the top 2 teams in that division because Jacksonville's not there. Like Tim Tebow might be the quarterback at some point this year. Jacksonville ain't there. And the Houston Texans, I haven't heard anything about what's going on with the quarterback situation that we don't talk about. That it's like hush hush. The NFL just doing a great job. So Titans, it was a good move. On my part, I'm not going crazy. I'm not saying it's a bad move. I'm just like in the middle. I'm like, yeah, okay, they're a little bit better.
Okay, so look at the. We'll have to do a friendly bet on this because I'm always the guy with all my team, that especially the Titans. All my buddies sell me this false hope. I'm a lot of Steelers fans, and they always end up beating the Titans. And I tell them all the time, and they got crushed by the Steelers this year. I say, guys, I'm a Titans guy, but false hope. They're not going to do anything in the playoffs because they don't have the defense. They still don't have the defense. The offense is good enough to have a running game. But getting back to the Colts thing is we'll have to do a friendly bet because I don't think the Colts are going to win unless Carson Wentz gets hurt. They have to throw someone else in that quarterback. But who are the threats in the AFC though? You look at it and it's like Chiefs are going to be good. Other than the Chiefs, Bills are probably going to be pretty decent. But if they fall back, nobody's going to. The AFC's pretty weak.
I think I wouldn't say weak. I would say question marks. And there's a team I'm not sleeping on the Patriots. Everybody thinks that I'm going to talk about it one day. The AFC East. I think the Patriots are going to make a lot more noise than people think. The Bills. I don't trust the Bills. I mean, there's a lot of teams where you're like, the Chiefs are the best team, and then there's like question mark, question mark, question mark, question mark. The Cleveland Browns might be the second best roster in the AFC, but they have Baker Mayfield. I don't know if Baker Mayfield's any good.
Yeah, just to get back to the Patriots, because there's just some things, like I said, I see them and I try and point them out before it's way too far. And I did this a few years ago and now it's too late, but he came back. Cam Newton, you want to talk about worst throwing arms? Carson Wentz looks like Johnny Unitas compared to Cam Newton, right? Cam Newton was incredible because his defense was good. He had enough threats to go downfield and he could get in between lines. He was agile. He could run for a few yards. I've never thrown, my buddy used to say, the CFL passes that are passes thrown at your feet than Cam Newton throws. He has the worst arm accuracy. He used to have it he could throw it downfield. He is the least accurate quarterback I think I've seen in my life, especially a guy that's won MVP. It blows my mind how someone as smart as Belichick is running this guy out on the field.
Yeah, but I don't know if you noticed what he did, though. He went in and got 2 tight ends. And what he's saying is, I don't trust you to throw more than 20 yards, but we're going to basically run the ball and we're going to throw to the tight. They're going to be
in front of him because he's going to overshoot them. And it's going to get an outside linebacker's hands this.
He might. Yeah. I mean, I saw some video in practice. He was missing guys by a lot. But I think that's a team that nobody's talking about, that everybody thinks the Bills are now just this. I think the Bills are this. Everybody thinks the Bills are a super team. I don't want to get into it now, just because it will go on forever. But hey, listen, you're right. Maybe the Titans are the 3rd or 4th best team. I'm pretty high on the Cleveland Browns this year. I think the Browns are really good. I think they've done a good job. But then there's question marks like The Chargers, who
Oh,
are
I need to
notorious.
find another feed. Good thing you said that.
Hmm.
So Justin Herbert, and I called it last year with my buddy because he was a big Cincinnati quarterback, Joe Burrow,
Burrow, yeah.
fan there, and I'm a big Burrow fan too. Justin Herbert to me, and this is like I said this, I'm saying it now. This guy, I think, might go down as like one of the best quarterbacks ever if he stays healthy. I think
Yeah.
he's honestly that good. And
Yeah.
he's like, I watched a bit of college last year. I saw him, and I was like, you know what? Usually when they draft quarterbacks, and I did this myself too, it's a fucking crapshoot. You could be smart or be an idiot. You pick a quarterback, whatever's going to happen. His
Yeah.
weapons, don't get me wrong, they have one of the best wide receivers. They had a great tight end. He's gone now. Their line was pretty decent. I think that the Chargers might be one of the teams that might sneak into a Super Bowl this year.
I I just think that the Chiefs are just too good this year. And you know what, the Chargers, I will never pick the Chargers until I see them do it. I've just seen them fail. As a Bronco fan, I've seen them fail too many times.
Yeah,
So
with Phil Rivers.
with Phil Rivers, yeah, and you know, I agree. Justin Herbert. I think I didn't like Joe Burrow out of college. He has changed my mind this year. So, but there are a lot of question marks in the AFC.
Lines. They need to help him out. And I want to see how he bounces back from that knee injury too, because hopefully it's not another Carson Wentz situation, because that would be really sad.
Or Carson Palmer. I would say the other Carson, you know, being a Cincinnati quarterback. Let's talk a little NFC, and we're going to talk about one guy that is dominating the headlines. My favorite. I love talking about him, Aaron Rodgers. And I floated something to you before we went on, and it sounds crazy. It sounds nuts. I want to talk to the guys. They don't want to hear it. I think Aaron Rodgers is going to retire. I have so many reasons. I will give you the forum here to tell me why it's not going to happen, and then I will refute or rebuttal back on why he is going to retire.
Okay, so I love Aaron Rodgers, and I'm honestly like I'm a self-proclaimed hater. I'm a big hater of a lot of people, like because they run their mouth and stuff. And I've defended Aaron Rodgers forever. He's not saying anything, so that's kind of making me like. And he never really says anything in the media other than at the end of the playoffs last year. What did he say? He goes, "I'm not sure if I'll be back," something
Yeah.
along those lines.
Yeah.
And okay, the only thing that I don't like that the Packers did was they took Love. Now maybe they took Love because they knew back then he wasn't going to be there. I don't know. Now Rodgers comes out, he's always like, "Get me weapons, get me weapons." They probably have the best wide receiver in the league, if not top three. The O line average at least, right? It's not a bad O line, it's average. The defense is failed them in big games, but not a bad defense. At one point in every other sport, and he hasn't been great in the playoffs. He's thrown a lot of interceptions recently. And once again, I love Rodgers. You have to look at yourself and be like, "Fuck, I failed this team. They've given me pieces. They put me in a position to succeed." At one point, if I am one of the best ever, top three quarterback of all time, you got to fucking make some moves. And I know he's won a Super Bowl. You said last time we were together, it's been a long time. It's been about 10 years or something. It's not just on the Green Bay Packers here. He kind of has a pretty decent size of blame on this too, because he hasn't been as good as he should be in the postseason.
I did a stat going into 2016, I believe. He was 0-35 when trailing a team with a winning record. So not Detroit, not Chicago, and not who's the other bad team from that division that they just steamroll? Minnesota, who was up and down. When he gets into a big game, he gets a little tight. And Aaron Rodgers is not a guy that plays from behind. You would think a guy like that would be coming from behind all the time. And I hear this all the time. Well, he's ahead so much. Peyton Manning was ahead every game. He's the most come from behind quarterback in history. He's got, I think, 43. Aaron Rodgers at like 18 or 19. So Aaron Rodgers is not a guy that's built to come from behind. Now, the Packers have a pretty good roster. I'm not going to say a great roster, but a pretty good roster.
Good enough to get to a Super Bowl.
Right. And listen, a little bit of this is on Aaron, but part of this is on the Packers too, where he wants to be kept informed. He wants to be told stuff. They just lost his Pro Bowl center, Lindley. Anyway, he went to the Chargers. How is Aaron Rodgers not looking at that and going, the Tampa Bay Bucks just brought everybody back, everybody, and you can't keep one guy for me? I
go back.
I understand where they're both coming from. Now, I believe he's going to retire. I believe it makes the most sense. And it comes down to legacy.
Is he 36?
He is 37, I believe.
Okay.
And what do we know about older quarterbacks? And don't look at Brady. Don't be like, Brady is like the rule.
Arm strength deteriorates
Very quickly. Not even like it's like it was like Peyton Manning was the best quarterback, and then he just couldn't throw a football. Drew Brees was a great quarterback, couldn't throw a football.
Yeah.
So I think it's in Aaron Rodgers' best interest to retire. He's not going to break the Super Bowl record. He's never going to challenge that, and he's tried to refute. He said, Super Bowls don't matter for a great quarterback." A lot of his stats, he's not going to catch Drew Brees. The only stat he has is the passer rating one, that he is third right now to Patrick Mahomes and to I can't remember who's second. But that's his only chance at kind of a legacy play here. Now I'm sitting here going, if he gets traded to the Broncos, they have a really good roster, but I don't think they're beating the Chiefs. If he gets traded to the Raiders, same thing. The NFC has gotten progressively better. He ain't winning a Super Bowl this year.
Do you think it's more likely that he plays for Green Bay or gets traded?
I don't think he's going back to Green Bay. I think that the bridge is burnt.
Sure.
And I also have a theory on when he's going to retire. He's going to retire 2 days before training camp.
Oh, before I thought you were going to say like preseason week 2 or something.
Somewhere right before there. Somewhere where they have to say where he's going to basically he's going to pull the pants down of that GM and he's going to say, "You think Jordan Love's good? Let's see.
Show me."
He's going to put it where either Jordan Love can't beat out his backup or he starts and he's a tire fire. Either way, Aaron Rodgers wins. Because Jordan Love, you want to talk about being inaccurate? You want to talk about Cam Newton? I've seen some of the Jordan Love throws. They aren't that good. Like, he is throwing some in the dirt. So I think that everything just points to, if he goes back, he's not going to win. He's just going to collect $35 million. But he could go to Jeopardy and do that for 10, 15 million, work 30 days a year in California instead of working 5 months in Green Bay. Which one would you pick?
Well, to be honest, I'd still rather play. I think that he can, and I listen to a lot of podcasts, so I don't want to say like I'm stealing ideas, but like he can do Jeopardy at any time in his career. He can do it at 60. You know what I mean? He could do it next year or the year after. I know maybe there might be a host at that point, but like I don't think it's going to be a good. And I don't think that like The Rock is going to go there and be like, "You know what, Aaron, we can't take you on at this point." You said a team that I think he has a shot with, Oakland. I like Oakland. I don't think that they're incredible, but I like them. They might have one of the best tight ends in the game, who I fell in love with last year when I saw him. Waller's incredible. And even last year when Carr went down and the ex-Titans legend Mariota went in there, I was blown away that he threw some nice balls. I was like, where was this in Tennessee? I've never seen that before. Right. But their defense is decent. I like their defensive line there. They were in it right till the end. I think they lost to Miami towards the end of the season. I like Oakland, and you're in California too, right? Like, I don't know what his trade value is. Like, what would you get at that point? Something like you get in the first for him, I guess. Like, he's incredible, but you're also taking on a lot of money, and then you got to cut David Carr at that point, Derek Carr. So, like, I don't know, but Oakland's a good team. I think that he might do something with.
He'd have to go back the other way. But then you're just going into a division with Patrick Mahomes. I mean, I just don't see – I'm a Bronco fan. I think the Broncos have a good roster. I think if you put Aaron Rodgers there, I don't think they're the best team in that division still, because I just think Mahomes is that damn good.
So you're still in that same division.
Yeah, it's the same. Yeah, either way, the two teams he was going to it's like, okay, you got to play Patrick Mahomes 2 times a year. Like, have fun with that. So
Denver obviously has a better defense. They took another corner this year, so like their defense is always going to be there. And I love that wideout they took last year from Alabama, drawing a blank. Do you remember?
Jerry Jeudy.
And I'm a big Jeudy fan. Like that, I think that wide receiver class is going to go down as the best ever. And I thought that as it was leading up to it too. Jefferson, Jude, there's so many guys that went there. But I'm trying to think of what other team Rodgers can go to. He really can go where he wants. How about the Miami Dolphins?
I threw that out there. Our Miami NFL correspondent said no chance. I thought that made a lot of sense, but he's not. I'm
the biggest hater, and I was from day one. He's terrible.
Tua?
Yeah.
Thank you. I hope he's listening. But
there's me from before, from Alabama, and my whole thing with that is, and it's tough to look at quarterbacks because all these guys that go to big time programs, like I think Alabama's probably next to Clemson, they've had the best wide receivers like ever in the last like 10 years. So you have the best O-line, so you have all day. You don't have to be the most, and that's why Mac Jones now too. Like Mac Jones was like a 3rd round pick, like during the season, 4th round pick. And all of a sudden he's like, oh, are we taking him at 3?
That was ridiculous.
But like when you go into all these teams, you have the fastest guys who are getting separation on everybody. They're wide open. They can't be double teamed. You have all day to throw the ball because your line's there. You better look fucking good. And that's why I'm still drawing a blank on his name. But if you remember that, whatever it's called, the BCS championship, whatever they call it now, the finals of college, he went in for the quarterback that went to Oklahoma that's now at Philly, their quarterback. And he came in as a sub, and he aired out that ball. And once again, it's like, okay, like you're throwing to these guys that are wide open. Can you make it tight? Can you make a pass in a tight window? Can you run around, do some stuff? And after 1 year, I don't want to write off the guy. It's just something I saw before. I don't think Tua is going to be great. He might be a starter on a bad team. He's probably more of a backup. You took him third overall or whatever it was in that look.
Mm-hmm. You're totally right. You basically just Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts is the guy we're thinking of.
Thank God we got his name.
Yeah, I had to Google it.
So I'm not going to put any shame on his name.
You're like, I did a rant where it's like it's a crapshoot, quarterbacks, and quarterbacks from big programs almost never work because, like you said, they don't learn how to play the position properly. Like when you go to a small school and you got to throw to non-NFL receivers that are covered, you got to throw them open. That's totally different than throwing to a guy that's 6 yards open. You could be the quarterback. I could be the quarterback of some of those of that Alabama team last year. So you're 100% right. Denver makes a lot of sense because Denver's got a great their O-line is turned around. They got Mike Munchak, the old Pittsburgh. Everybody's talking about Jerry Jeudy. Cortland Sutton's the best wide receiver on that team. He's back from an ACL injury. That's a good team out there. I still don't think
really good too. He was with he went to Iowa with Hawkinson, Detroit. I don't remember his name, but their tight end's incredible.
Yep, it's Noah Fant, and they got they're a good team. They're a quarterback away. Listen, I'm a Bronco fan. I could talk about this for days, but I just think it makes so much sense for Aaron.
Patrick, what was his name? The guy that they took in the first round a few years ago that was like 6'7".
Yeah, it was Patrick. His last name was Patrick. His last name was Patrick.
Anyways, they took another guy that was
Tim Patrick, wasn't it? Tim Patrick, I think.
No, anyways, sorry, I'll cut to that a bit after. But yeah, they've always been a quarterback away forever since Elway left, and then obviously Manning there. They never really had quarterbacks.
Yeah, no, listen. We could talk about him for days.
His name.
Have I convinced you at all that maybe Aaron Rodgers might retire? I think
it's always in the back of my mind. But we talked about LeBron's legacy. How bad would it be for Rodgers to just retire at this age?
Oh, but see, that's the thing. He retires as an MVP. This is as close as he's going to get to like retiring on top. And you have to remember that when we talk about guys in 10 years, we're going to be like, well, how many more years did Aaron Rodgers had? Maybe he had 7 or 8. That's how he elevates. But he doesn't have 7 or 8. He's got 2 or 3. In my opinion, he's got 2 or 3. He's just elevating. He's elevating. It's almost like you become a myth. You become a legend of he retired so early that we didn't get to see we might have seen better. It's a little bit like, because he's got nothing else. He's not going to break any records. He's not going to win Super Bowls. He's not winning a Super Bowl this year.
He's probably not. But if he does win one more Super Bowl, at least you could have a better argument for him as maybe. It's tough. And like, I don't like Brady, but when you win that often, he's probably presented himself as the best ever, but maybe he's the second best ever if Rodgers wins another champion, if he wins another Super Bowl.
I wouldn't put him ahead of Peyton Manning. I wouldn't put him ahead of like John Elway. There's a bunch of guys that I would put ahead of him Joe Montana, like we're forgetting, like Joe Montana's legacy has been just overshadowed by Tom.
Because the same thing. Elway won 1, right?
2, but Elway was he was playing with bit parts, but I just look at the NFC West. The NFC West is loaded. Like, I don't think Green Bay's better than, outside of Arizona, any of those teams. Like, I just don't. And Chicago, here's the other thing. His division used to be a layup. Chicago might have, like, the next top quarterback in that division. So I think it makes a ton of sense. I've obviously not convinced you. I'm not going to convince a lot of people. But I'm calling it. I'm calling my shot.
It's as crazy as it would have sounded. And like I said, it's more so like I don't think he would. I think he's too smart to mess up his legacy based on just like an emotional retirement because he's upset at the GM and the franchise. I just think that that's too stupid, and I think he's too smart of a guy to do that.
I just think if the Jeopardy thing wasn't there, and everybody's saying, well, he can go to it, maybe he doesn't get it after. And we're talking about $15 million a year for 30 years. Like, we're talking about, everybody's like, he's not going to make that money back. He might end up making more from Jeopardy.
True, but I don't know. Like, obviously, I don't know. How much money has Aaron Rodgers made in his career? Is it safe to say he's 150 easy? I would think, right? Like, he probably makes 35 a year now.
Yeah, now he does. Yeah, but I think he was severely underpaid for quite some time. Yeah, he's. Listen, with rich people, here's the number that they want more. We you heard it in the Wall Street movie, Wall Street 2. What's your retirement number? Like, what's your number to stop? And he's just like, more. You can never have enough money. And listen, we're talking about 30 years filming it, 30 days a year filming in California for, Jeopardy versus 5 months in Green Bay with his new celebrity wife. So we'll see. I hope I got people thinking. I hope that people stayed this long and listened to my crazy, wacky theory. But this was great. We'll do this again. It's good to see that you don't just talk NBA.
Preview show, because I do that anyways, and we can get together. Igor likes doing that as well. So an NFL preview, I'm down for sure. Because maybe
Oh,
Aaron Rodgers is retired, right?
I'm out there now. I'm 2 days before camp starts. That's my prediction. But yeah, we'll do a full scale NFL, because I think I'm an NFL guy. I think I can talk about that for days. But Joe, thanks a lot again at On the Block NBA. Great NBA talk, and I believe you do more than just NBA talk.
I do everything. Yeah, obviously focus is NBA, but I played most of the sports at least at high school, and I still watch them. So like the knowledge of everything is pretty decent. And we're always, like I said before, on the show, we're always debating everything. Any hot takes, we're here for it. Let's do it.